Thank you, Frankie, Levin Mini, for setting the stage. Look, Taco, it's Major 3. We've had 2 majors before this, and now we're at the last chance to qualify to the Global Championship. In the previous majors, you could maybe have a rough group stage, not qualify, and be like, all right, we always got next major to make it to the Global Championships. But you can't do that anymore. It's the last shot, and the pressure is going to be on.
Of course, and we've already highlighted a handful of some really strong competitors, but now we get a chance to see them actually play it out because game 1 underway.
There's been quite a few changes from the last time we've been around, but before we get into them, I'm curious to see how a lot of these kind of off-spawn engagements do play out. We've got Crime City contested. Demon's Domain originally didn't look like it was going to be contested, but I think there was a last-minute switch up. We'll see if both trios actually end up committing. But so far, we are going to get a bit of action.
Ooh, Utopia heating up for sure. Soray, Peter, Manya, they're just rolling around, trying to establish a little bit of spacing between themselves and Denkuzo's trio. But now Peter looking to just kind of close that gap. They knew they tagged Denkuzo for that white, and they want to see if they can find an early elimination, kind of set themselves up with that 1-man advantage, but things have sort of fizzled out for the time being.
What's difficult about Utopia, especially in this group specifically, is that the surrounding trios aren't contested necessarily, so they are going to be able to kind of peek over at Utopia, see is there a potential kind of third-party opportunity if this fight ends up taking too long. So these trios know that they have to either be really quick or kind of separate themselves, because if 2 players end up getting knocked, it's solo v solo. The third party's going to end up cleaning it up, but so far angles are what they're trying to find.
But for sure needing to keep in mind that Shining Span could look to get involved. First up though, we're going to have to actually see how things are shaping up inside of Crime City. We knew that there was going to be an all-spawn battle here in Revskar. Now it's his opportunity to try and find an opening shot here. Skyjump also with a separate angle, and Day, that is huge. Sky just could not withstand the pressure. That's gonna be an early knock, and now everybody else trying to follow it up, but Revskar, he's gonna have to fall back instead. Just 2 tagged up, same case scenario here for Skyjump. Everyone just seeming to have to backtrack to the start, and that might be the difference maker here in getting this double revive off.
Oh no, it was looking so bright. Skyjump with another knock, though. This could be it. They have to clean this up now. If Skyjump ends up getting knocked, the third party is going to be devastating for this trio, as Revskar is now forced to take alternate angles, and the third party's getting closer and closer. This is not the position you want to be in. I mean, we mentioned it earlier, but this is not only their last chance to qualify, but Revskar having not qualified by 1 placement point in the last 2 groups he competed in. We don't want to see a repeat of that, Taco, and hopefully with this first fight they can set themselves up for success. But it looks like the third party's now gonna strike. Revskar gets cracked. Momsy hits a huge shot. Not enough for a knock yet.
Instead, it's going to be Prahado that has to walk it back, but the damage had already been done. Revskar will be eliminated. And still, double revive now in effect here. This is a real issue because Talio can potentially look to just bring this one back. But Prahalo kind of recognizing, hey, our prime opportunity for that third party has sort of gone in the opposite direction. They still got a decent amount of surge with those initial opening shots onto Skyjump and Revskar, but not really an engagement they want to finish out.
Not at all. Demon's Domain, we can see the eliminations on the board. Looks like the contestation did come on through. This being one of the most, if not the most powerful POI this season. Being able to claim this every match of the group stage would be more than enough. I mean, even just a couple good opportunities coming out with Demon's loot should be enough to at least get that victory royale. Honey, though, not gonna want to make it easy for them. The issue is not a lot of mats, loot, disadvantage, but maybe they'll be able to close it out.
It's evident that some of these off-spawn engagements have just been drawn out a little bit longer than what probably a handful of these teams would have originally anticipated. But Howdy, Topco, they're still applying a good amount of pressure from overhead and just trying to keep tabs on the mountain range behind them. They know third-party opportunities are always present whenever you have these run-out exchanges. But finally, the score is going to be tied up here because Fishy being eliminated, Jewel just dropping completely low. And this is a huge problem now for Huddy's team because it's a decent amount of time invested here, Takada, and they're going to find themselves now also having to look for that reboot.
Yeah, you can see Jewel and his duo already hero rank A, have the Mythic Spire AR from taking down the boss here at Demon's Domain. Now, I know there's going to be a few people that haven't been around much for this competitive season, so to give you a quick refresh of how things are looking now, the main goal is to, one, get your mobility up, but two, get that hero rank up. So good ways to do that. There's spires, there's shrines. Being able to drop around those is crucial to this season to get you that dash sprite, to get you that mist form for mobility later on. And also, if you're able to take out the NPCs that spawn alongside those spires, or even in places like Demon's Domain, eliminating them will help you boost up that hero rank and allow you to get better loot. So that is going to be a focus for a lot of the trios, and Vanya, Marius, Pixie being one of them. At Flooded Frogs, they have 3 Spire spawns around them. Now, it's not 100% guarantee that they'll be there, but when the odds are in your favor, could end up being a positive.
Well, looks like Volko, Vidil, and Cringe, though, they decided, hey, if you guys aren't going to settle the score at Demon's Domain, we'll just become a part of the conversation. Except finding that knock for Volko, clean elimination. Vidil gonna recognize that they are not alone. Off in the distance, loses his shields. Successful reboot, though, for Huddy's team, so that's a big pickup, bringing Fishy back into this one. Still, knowing that they're going to have to deal with yet a separate team after just having shortly gone for the reboot. There, still a decent amount of goods left over in Demon's Domain, of course, Takada, but it's always going to be tough because the longer this goes, the more likely that other teams are also going to want to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, both trios here, though, look pretty good now. I mean, they've got their loot, they've got their mats, done their damage. Getting a bit of deja vu from major finals, last major, as we got Teeny, Trulex, and Skavi here, enjoying their position.
And I know at the start of show, the desk kind of touched on the fact that these guys, they barely squeezed into this Group 1 section, 97th place. Granted, Trulex, he's got a smart mind behind him. Wouldn't be surprised to see them come up with some kind of big showing. It's all about whether you can get that Victory Royale or be top 5 in consistency here today, so you can never really count some of these teams out. Brickborg, Gudenbri staring across the range, then just trying to keep their surge damage underneath their thumb, but Thomas, HD, Scroll Sky, we saw them getting active earlier on. Those 2 eliminations now going to help them just be able to emphasize a little bit more on their rotations, but shots off in the distance means heads up, and Thomas, Sky, Scroll, they want to make sure they heal first.
Yeah, and seeing that it's second zone now, previously it was 4th zone when the island would appear, but now it is second zone. It's a lot sooner. Medallion's a little different. We'll talk about it if we end up seeing a trio up there, but it is a good thing to look out for now if you're uncontested and are able to get out of your drop spot quite quickly. Pablo Chino for Doxy, though, from dominating the play-ins now, with already 3 eliminations kicking off game 1. I wouldn't be surprised if they're out of the groups early on, and that's from securing a Victory Royale. 1,054 points you can see in the quick stat, leading the pack. They've got what it takes, Taco.
For sure, but this is really what so many teams are trying to keep an eye out for. These massive surge bases just kind of influencing the direction that some of these teams are opting for those rotates. Prodoxy's team, great example, clearly going for that dead side motion, and Viren, Kashi, Relvis, they're just kind of trying to gauge if there's going to be any stragglers they can maybe take advantage of. They're chopping down their base to try and not give away their position. But other teams overhead on top of the Rift Island itself, Rax, Belusi, and Zangi. One of our newly formed trios too. Kind of crazy the story that took place with Rax, but These teams now, they know, or they'd rather just find their seat in the finals.
That indeed. Already having the Mythic. From this island, you can get the Mythic DMR alongside that medallion that kind of boosts your movement, get a bit of invisibility while you're at it as well. Seen Peterbot on NA make good use of that. We'll see if someone on EU can do something similar. Prahara now at Crime City once again. This battle has been going on for what? The whole game, basically, since the start of the match, it seems. Still a great shotgun. It's not looking good.
It's so easy for other teams to kind of just roll into the action. Lovetto, Tyleo, they're also just trying to play things safe. They don't want to find themselves getting collapsed on last second. Same can't be said, though. Owls trio hoping to find a really strong collapse here. They're playing inside of the storm. Early take damage, though, not going to be too much of a threat. They just want to close this one out, find themselves with a top-tier refresh heading in those mid and late game rotations if they make it there, but got to be real careful because lurking for Doxy, Chino, Pablo, they're bound to hear these shots going off.
Yeah, this is not a trio I'd like to run into when I have to rotate back into zone after this engagement. You got to think, at what point is it worth it to continue pursuing this? Like, you do have the HP advantage. You know a lot of your opponents are cracked. You potentially even have a lot of spare heals, but at what point is it no longer worth it? As for Doxy, Pablo, Chino, like you were alluding to, Taco, they said, okay, I smell something good here, and I want it.
This is the last thing that any team would ever want to see. And for Doxy, he might just be the last thing that Snow, Allen, Quickspot see. The kill switch revolvers, accuracy, definitely strong there. For Doxy, though, gonna turn it around. Chino and Pablo, recognizing the fact that these two other teams have split opposite directions. They want both of these fights, though. Pablo trying to see if he can close in onto Nade, but a little bit of distance to separate. And Pablo reuniting with Fordoxy, want to make sure that they're able to support Chino. Pablo could use a little bit of a refresh on his white HP too.
Yeah, looks like they're all going to group up and heal a little bit here. With three trios kind of in the pack, I mean, at least they got a bit of damage, but I know that Fordoxy, Pablo, Chino wanted more than that little pickup, but better safe than sorry. They'll have time once they're back in the zone.
Judging by that quick stat, Takata, when we're talking about a win-in-you're-in style format, knowing that Fordoxy's team has 5 victory royales in finals this season, it's evident that these guys understand what it takes to find that winning formula, but replicating it in the first match so they can take the rest of today off, that's going to be another story entirely, especially given some of these other teams in the lobby. Dina is staring down now. Giddas playing supportive measures from underneath where his team is based at, and also action taking place still in between Supernova Academy. Big shots here for Sorde's team as they're just gonna wipe through, and surprisingly enough, it's just crazy, Dakota, that these teams are still like kind of lingering, getting caught off guard.
Yeah, it's lasted a while. I mean, Supernova does have that kind of zip line where it launches you into the sky and allows you to, you can even land on boxcars basically from there. And it seems like Pablo, Chino are going to be able to pick back up for Doxy, but I'm trying to think kind of what happened here. I guess they just ended up, yeah, you can see the eliminations, picked up some more. For Doxy went down due to it, but they're doing fine. They'll make it to zone. Oh.
Not necessarily ideal, though. It's definitely a little bit of a hiccup in their natural flow, but Pablo Mingo, Fordoxy, Chino, they do have, they can opt to maybe find some of those hero crates along the way, but the vending's also going to play a big part there at Brutal Boxcars. Thomas HD, Scroll, Sky, got their eyes set on to Huddy, and he knows game is afoot here. Thomas HD immediately closing in with that dashes. And he's trying to find the overhead view. Scroll's been tagged heavily, though. Thomas HD, he has to fall back and provide some support.
Yeah, this season, it's really hard to run with the mobility that's in the game, having so many opportunities with the dashes, with the mist form. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Thomas HD was one spot off qualifying to the Global Championship last major, so you know he wants it more than ever now. Making it out of the group stage is just step one. With the newly formed trio, I'm excited to see if they can make it happen.
Yeah, fortunately for Thomas, one step away has been a sad recurring theme, but there's always a chance to change that narrative.
That's true.
And it could start if they're able to find their place in the Major 3 Grand Finals. Right now, though, Crime City, you know, we picked up with an Osbon at the start of this lobby, Takata, and it seems like things never really slowed down after that. Several teams kind of just surrounding the outskirts of Crime City right now. Badil, Volko, Cringe, trying to make sure they don't get too caught up in any sort of lateness or late rotating congestion. So they're going to get a move on now. Want to find their positioning. Taking notice, though, of True, Lex, and Teeny, trying to see if they can get some shots in to prevent them from kind of hanging side by side on their rotate. But Badil, he might actually be after more Surge. They're definitely keeping close tabs here. True, Lex just an arm's reach away, it feels like.
Yeah, if you're looking to get a bit of damage, that mountain, perfect view onto all the trios rotating in from the congested side if you're able to get there early, but maybe you just want to play it extra safe, go around the back. It is a full west pull. A lot of the trios that have used their dashes early on are going to be in more of a difficult situation here. You kind of want to conserve a bit of that mobility for later in the match, but easier said than done. Gudent, Rick Borcade, 223 above. I mean, it's good, but not enough to be fully comfortable yet. Positioning wise, they're looking great though.
This is a great base kind of set up in. Kovacs and Kolb, they're just trying to make sure they don't get held on the edge of zone. So many boxes in front of them, Takata. They know that it is going to be a problematic journey. Kovacs immediately loses his shield. You don't want to find yourself getting lobby focused. So they're trying to see if they can just keep hugging alongside the edge. Maybe they'll find a wraparound opportunity, but so many teams just already based up in front of them. It's going to be difficult for them to find any traction here. Other teams still stuck even, fighting inside the storms. Angie, Rags, Balusi. It seems like they recognize the fact, hey, we're 26 below the damage threshold. We don't want to burn all of our shields just trying to delay from this surge tick. So they want to find a refresh. They need to find damage, though.
Yeah, I saw a pad in the build, so they do have that rotate in. Will it be safe enough to use? I'm not sure, but that's the least of their worries right now. Getting ticked by Storm, Zanki going down, Balusi, Rax left as a duo. As it keeps getting worse and worse. On the other hand, it looks like 4 eliminations already on the board. I don't know if they're going to be able to make it back to zone, though, to be honest, Taco.
This is a problem. Rax and Balusi, they are out for a vengeance, and Rax, he's gonna find one. Rania gonna be forced to sit this one out. Peter joins him. Balusi immediately dropping. He knows that he needs to get the siphon. But at the same time, the damage, I fear, has already been done. Takata and Rax still tangled up with Zor. Just trying to find this last elimination. Just dancing around.
Okay, they got it though. Sor goes down. Balusi, Rax now have to figure out, okay, if we wait a bit longer, the zone is going to close towards us, but at the same time, how much are we willing to give up? We'll see if they end up making it in, but Ricky for now, 223 below. Look at the loadout too. 2 open slots. This is going to be tough.
Even with the DMR, they're still going to need to connect another shot. 77 below. Everybody's starting to have a little bit of panic. But Chino, one of our leading teams, in a whole world of trouble here. It's only Pablo Wingu left to try and play the revive here for Chino. But that is a massive blow, losing for Doxy. Pablo and Chino, they don't have the white heals. This is going to be a very difficult rotate, even with those misforms. And they're 48 below Surge.
Yeah, I'm not even exactly sure how that happened. They're like primed up in positioning. It seemed like they had more than enough loot. For Doxy went down, and I guess Chino, while he was trying to pick him up, ended up getting knocked as well because they didn't close the wall behind. It's just kind of a sequence of unfortunate events, and now they're forced to play this out as a duo with the Surge gone from Doxy as well. Now they're just barely above, forced to kind of stagger themselves on their rotate and try and pick off a few shots here on the players rotating in. This is just from everything to almost nothing. I mean, it's still possible to get a good amount of placement, but winning the game is going to be significantly more difficult now.
But with their mobility, they could definitely close in on a knock or an elimination incredibly quickly. They're just looking for that third-party opportunity. That's what it seemed like from above. Sky Scroll, Thomas HD, though, they've already got their position. They're trying to make sure that Giddes is not able to follow them forward. Cringe also skirting by with Vanille and Volko. And Sky just continuing to pepper into both those teams. Not trying to allow anybody the opportunity to rotate anywhere nearby them. Just seeing if they can secure any kind of additional surge damage. But Gino and Pablo are much healthier than before, thanks to that superhero rank up, but it's still going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah. Some trios that are looking really strong. Combat Blaha Shark, full trio up. Thomas Sky Scroll, full trio up, looking strong. Volko Cringe. Vanille now, 300 above as well in the low. Kind of depends where this zone ends up pulling. But so far, Pablo is praying that zone will pull back.
I'll have to hold that for another moment, though. Marius, Vanya, Pixie, our first time really checking in with another one of our powerhouse leading teams of Group 1. And already, Marius trying to take advantage of the fact that they're well above the search threshold. Now it's just about pushing the rest of the lobby back. They've got a pretty isolated position inside zone. Shark, Combic, and Blaha, though, eyes on this team because Shark is down. That kind of creates some ripples in this lobby. Chino and Pablo Wing, this almost feels inevitable right now. Takata just trying to wait out some of these surge ticks, but losing all of your shields in the process, this is going to be a crucial moment. They need to see if they can tackle this battle with the duo up behind them. Not sure if they recognize, though, that it's only a duo, it appears.
Yeah, it's a little tough. It's a good time to kind of look for those shots, but using minis big, so you really don't get much time to actually look for those shots. So Mist Form's going to be used, elevated a bit higher, so they have that vision on the players rotating in. Make sure they're in zone now, using those hard mats. It's possible, but up above, it is going to be Thomas HD, Sky. Scroll has gone down, so they are playing it out as a duo, but still potential to make something happen.
Still in control of the high ground, at least for right now. Pablo Wingo, he's down. Last man standing up for Doxy's team. And Pablo will take this moment, try and get off his last shield potion. Still has one to work with, but it is going to be very difficult now, having to play from the backside of the zone. Doesn't want to find himself getting locked into any kind of congestion, though. But these lower layers, at least he has so much material to work with, Takata, so he can delay just a little bit, but he wants to find a big opening shot right now while Kashi is distracted. Firen kind of trying to stare down the same line of sight. They know that they've got at least one player behind them, but Pablo, he can't afford to stick around any longer. He's got to keep things moving. Blaha, Shark, Combeck still holding down secondary height, but it's the front side of zone that they're hoping to control, and they take it.
I got faith for Shark and his trio here. Looking like a late high ground retake could be what secures them the win, but I don't want to talk too far ahead as Sky and Thomas now are continuing to play this out as a duo. They've given up high ground. Nice picks onto Fishy in the back line. 3-4-3 above still, as they're just going to be playing it slow and kind of wait out the lobby as players continue to go down.
Kind of just what you have to do. Maybe look to play for a potentially in the low grounds. They continue to drop on Marius, Vanya, Pixie. What a familiar sight. One of our leading contenders all the way in the high ground. But Deal Vocal and Cringe, though, they are doing numbers on the low. 773 above, already 5 eliminations. And they don't look like they have any intentions of slowing down. Those consistent refreshes just paying dividends for them currently. Sky, Thomas, though, they scout it out. This is a solo trying to scurry on by. Might be able to cut them off here. Sky, we're going to see if they can collapse, but no, first they've got to break past all these pre-existing builds. So much paranoia probably involved for these teams inside the low ground. Pablo Wingu also getting lit up by the surge tick damage too. It's not going to make his journey any easier here. Sky, Thomas, get that refresh on their dashes and go forward immediately. That secondary low is going to be a little bit crazy here in a second.
Looking very bright. for Vanya and his trio up above, but like I was alluding to, Blaha Shark are kind of thinking now, is it time? Should we look to make a play for it as Giras goes down? Cringe Volko and Fadil looking to control the low. Pablo has been doing an amazing job staying up as a solo as he's getting closer and closer to taking Thomas out. Just one tick from Storm would be all it takes. But he does not want to go down here, securing placement after placement, as now it's just Vanya Pixie up above as Marius has dropped down, trying to get a quick refresh, a bit of extra eliminations as Sky is playing it all alone.
It's the same story though for Sky. They've got to close in onto Speed. They managed to find the full refresh. That Cypher gonna buy them a little bit of time. They're trying to play catch up, get into the zone, but there's just too much traffic directly in front of them. Sky also getting tagged from overhead. Doesn't even have a chance to look up, burning every single one of their last remaining builds. And sure enough, Sky's gonna be eaten up by the lobby. Pablo, though, the amount of placements he has clutched as a solo is insanity here. He's still looking to find more, too. Sangil might get picked off if he's not careful, but Pablo is just weaving in and out of these builds. Finally, height will take him out.
Top 7, that's more than enough for the solo clutch, but now Vanya, Marius, Pixie, all eyes are on the prize. They want to close this one out. They don't need a huge amount of eliminations. They don't need to brag out. All they need to do is win the game. That is enough to qualify themselves to the Major 3 finals, but the deal, Volko and Cringe are not going to make it easy for them. Splitting out materials, getting ready to control the low ground. The issue is here, those players with not a lot of mats are going to start dropping down slowly, causing them to have to get into these engagements, but it might just be something positive as the refreshes are going to come through. The preparation for a potential heal off, medkits being split, Chug Jug's getting prepared, Blaha now going down.
They don't have a choice. They need these players to drop to the low ground because they didn't have any builds to work with. Now, Blaha, Cypher Materials going to pay off there for the deal, but Marius forced to drop for Nanek, getting picked up. It is only Vidil's team essentially standing in the way here, the only other healthy looking trio in this lobby, but Pixie taking a second to look back, Shark in the distance. That's gonna be the end of this one here. Vidil immediately sat down. Goodness, that was a shot. But Marius, Vanya, Pixie, this is looking like theirs to take home, Takata.
Cringe doing what he can, play the heal off, but Marius said not so
Yep, I can
fast.
see
Hunts
that
him
happen.
down, takes him out of the lobby and books himself a ticket straight to the Major 3 finals. What a way to kick off Group 1. I mean, to be honest, Taco, that's a trio you expect to win Game 1.
It started with the last major, it feels like, Takata, where the only thing anyone was asking for from Marius's team was to convert their early game fight and convert it into just a strong end game placement and finding a victory royale in lobby 1 here of Group 1. You really couldn't ask for a better performance from this team.
100%. And I mean, you know what that means, Taco. They were landing Flooded Frogs uncontested, so there's a brand new open POI that anybody in the lobby can pick if they want to make their way on over. They will obviously have to switch up their strategy and get ready, but this is just game 1 of 5, so let's go back to the desk and see what they have to say.
Thank you so much. Well, we came to see Vanya, Pixie, and Marius show why they're currently the pride of Europe, and they did not disappoint, Mini Miner.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was just a replay of what we showed at the beginning of the show. Or was it just the same thing? Because that was the exact same performance that we've seen from these guys so often, taking high early on, closing it out. And to be honest, it looked pretty simple there, Levin. They didn't really get contested by anyone.
Yeah, I feel like the way that game played out sort of just meant that it was, you know, a lot of times you see teams on height and, you know, they'll have people drop down, try to close things out. The way the zone sort of played and everyone's going up elevation, all they really had to do was just shoot their weapons, right? Shoot their weapons, make it uncomfortable for any solo clutches or duos still trying to get out because you're going to force them into the remaining trios in the lobby. And then at the end, dropping down, Marius making sure to close things out. It was a very, very well played game, but like you sort of highlighted, Minnie, a standard game for these guys. They've probably done that a million times, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, Marius with that coin as well, that medallion, that's something we're going to have to take a look at when it comes to the major finals, because we don't get to see them. That's the only downside to this team now. I mean, they've already qualified. We're not going to get to see them for another couple of weeks. So I'm excited to see what they can bring when it does come to the major finals. No surprises, though, here about these guys coming through. And as Takata mentioned, Flooded Frogs now open, so who's going to take it?
Who is going to take it? Who do you think is going to be eyeing up that spot? Any guesses, Levin?
No, I don't have a guess, to be honest with you. Somebody will. Like, someone will do it, but I can't sit here and be like, yeah, it's going to be that team.
Well, we'll be talking about the trios who still will be in the lobby because Marius, Pixie and Vanya have booked their spot in the Major 3 finals already after this short break.